All right, folks, we're gonna get ready here in just a second. Take a look at the cool stuff on the table there. Bedtime went a little long tonight, so I had to run in here once everybody was asleep. But we got plenty of time to talk some cool stuff. Oh, there goes my water. I'm off to a great start here, folks. How's everybody doing? Was anybody at C2E2 other than me? Hopefully some of you folks made it out. It was a really fun show this year. We'll get into it. All right. Oh. All right. Let me see here. Let's look at the chat. See where we're at. Okay. Nobody yet. Sounds like I can be heard. All right. So yeah, tonight we are going to... it might be a slightly shorter stream because I might not be able to do any drawing tonight, but we'll see. We'll play that by ear. But I wanted to go through kind of how C2E2 went this weekend. We had C2E2 2025, one more year in the books. So I'll kind of go through what happened at the show for me, what the experience was like. And then I thought it might be cool to talk about just conventions in general. I have my C2E2 badge here. Hey, Stinker Buns, you were there. I have my C2E2 badge here, and I keep all my badges. And so I'm going to show some of my old badges and talk about some other shows that I've done over the years. Maybe just share some convention thoughts in general. And then these are a lot of the things I got at C2E2. I'm sure I got other stuff that I have misplaced, but we'll just do a flip through of some of these things that I got at the show. And then we'll do a little update on the ERIS Kickstarter. So the ERIS Kickstarter is running right now, so that's the first thing. And it is, we are at 72% to our goal, and we have about 21 days left. So I think we're in pretty good shape, but we still need to fill that last 2,000 or 3,000. So if we can all help share the word, that'd be great. If you haven't seen it yet and you're just here because you wanted to hear about C2E2 and conventions, go check it out. I didn't put the link in the description, but I should have. But if you just go to Kickstarter, you can look for ERIS, ERIS. That is the name of the comic. And it is a passion project I've been working on for about 5 years now. So hope everyone will go check that out. As a cool little taster, and I'll show this a little better later, here's a piece of pinup I got from Minerva Fox at C2E2 of the Archon Circle. This is pretty amazing, and I'll show that again, but there's a little ERIS plug to start the show. Brunson. So we got Stinker Buns and Brunson. Stinker Buns, so we must have spoken, right? What's your real name? Because I don't know, but did we talk at the show? Sometimes I see the screen names and I forget who the real person is. Anyway, if you were at the show and you came by, anybody out there, thank you so much. It's so great when people come by Artist Alley, and especially when they stop at my table. I was really mostly pushing ERIS, but I did have some of my older work there. So C2E2 is a fun show for me because I'm local to Chicago, and so my local people always come by, but those people always have everything. And if I don't have something new, I generally don't have anything to sell them. So a lot of people did come by and say hi, though, which is great. And I was able to do a few commissions. If you didn't see my commissions, go check out my Instagram or Blue Sky or X if you have to, Twitter, because they turned out pretty good. I did 3 6x9s. I did a Evangelion and what else did I do? Oh, a Doom guy, Doom Slayer from Doom the Dark Ages. And then the other one was a little bigger than 6x9. It was a Punisher I did in a sketchbook. And that was really cool. If you've never gotten a commissioned sketchbook or done one, they're really fun. For the artist, it's fun because I get to look through the sketchbook and see all the other great art that's in there, which kind of eggs you on to do a better job. But also, it's just amazing. You know, the Punisher sketchbook had a Bill Sienkiewicz one right on the first page, and I was like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna, how am I going to impress? But I think that the one I did turned out pretty good. I hope you guys will check that out on my social media. I'm at TCannonComics, so go check that out there. Any of the social medias. When you split a table at a convention, like I did with Landis, Do both artists need to submit applications to get approved? That's a good question, Stinker Buns. No. I think that the convention, it varies from convention to convention, actually. So that's not totally true across the board. But for C2E2, they generally haven't denied me to have a guest or to have me as a guest when I'm on someone else's table. They do want you to only split it with like one other person usually, I think. And what usually happens is every year Landis and I both apply, and one year Landis gets in, and then he splits with me, and the next year I get in, and then I split with Landis. There's only been, I think, one instance where we both were given our own full table. Yeah, it's a little frustrating sometimes, but I know they're probably, they've got their own priorities on how they want to place things. But it worked out fine because Landis and I get along famously. He is one of my favorite people on the planet and an incredible artist. So to share a space with him is a treat. We talked. You tried to give me... Oh, you're the guy with the cookies. I remember you exactly now. Thank you, Stinker Buns, for the refresher. Now I'll know that you are Stinker Buns because now I put it together in my head. Thank you for being so generous with your treats. Maybe next time I'll hit you up. But thank you mostly for just coming by and saying hi. It means a lot when you guys come by and talk and hang out with me. And if you mention the live stream especially, it's nice to see that because I know a lot of folks jump on here with me and hang out. So maybe first what I'll do is as I talk about the convention a little bit, I'll look through some of these books that I got. And I got other stuff too, but these are just the ones that I was able to get out from. I'm still not totally unpacked from the show. This one here came in a little like an envelope full of like 4 zines, and it was like sealed up, so I didn't know what was in it. But a person came by and gave it to me, and so it has these. It's got like these fake interviews, I guess, and it's like a fanzine basically for different things. It's got some illustrations in here. These look like reading lists and stuff. It's a pretty random assortment. It's definitely old school zine style. If you guys have never bought a zine or anything, you should definitely go to some place like Quimby's or Howling Pages if you're in Chicago or whatever your local kind of indie comic book store is, and pick up some zines. It's a cool, different way to get information. And I recently have been buying this one, or getting this one called Full Bleed Zine. It's a Chicago specific one, but it's horror. It's all horror related. So they'll have interviews with people and artwork, like I did a piece for them, and then they also have a guide to all the events that are horror related across the whole city. And that's really cool because a lot of times you might be into horror movies or horror whatever, but it's hard to know like what everything that's horror related is going on. I can't think of another place where you get that. A lot of the older movie sites used to do things like that. But so the Full Bleed Zine is really great. I think it comes out every 2 months, and they have like a 2-month guide for it. So go check that out. Eric Renard, C2E2 has maxed out in its current space. Don't know what they'll do down the line. That's true. They definitely fit a lot of us in there. Scaredy Cat, hey man, good to see you on here. It's I will mention I had some great table mates on both sides of me. I was splitting with Landis Blair, and then I was also next to my friend Ryan Lee, who's an amazing artist, and next to him was another awesome dude, Dave DeForney. Cool illustrator, does kind of a wide variety of different styles, very versatile and really nice guy. And then my other buddy Jimmy Kusei was right next door to him. Jimmy's also an awesome artist that is working on some cool stuff that I don't think I'm supposed to talk about yet. Some cool secret stuff. So check those guys out. Oh, and then on the other side of me was Andrea Pearson, who runs Aquatic. I think it's called Aquatic Panda Distro, and they distribute indie books like this one. So this artist, Eric DeSantis, was there with Andrea and gave me this book. Now this does have some stuff that's a little maybe not safe, so I'm gonna. This is a very yum book. It's kind of a pinup girl style art book. And you know what? I'm not sure how much of it I can even show. I'll just show it quickly. Whoa, yeah. So there's really some really cool illustrations in here. If you're into sort of older pinup style art and stuff that's kind of got that maybe like coupe feeling or or even like Charles Burns a little bit. These drawings are really cool that Eric DeSantis does in here. Look at that, it's got the R rating on it, just like we put on ERIS, which I love that. So this guy was super cool, and Andrea's very cool, and we had some awesome table mates right next to us. It really makes the show go a lot faster, or feel a lot more fun when the people all around you we're all jamming together. We're all kind of, we're on the same wavelength, and you can kind of talk to each other about what you've been working on and stuff. A lot of younger people or people trying to get going on comics always ask me, like, how do you get into the community? And a lot of it is trying to hang out with people that you feel like you can understand and whose work speaks to you on some level. And then regardless of whether you know anybody or not, when you do end up just getting randomly put by somebody to show, take the time to talk to them for a little bit, get to know them, look at their work, and see if you jive with them. And then that might be a good person to request to be by at another show. And then it's also easy to recommend things across tables. You can say, oh, you like this drawing I did, you got to go check out Dave's work a couple tables down. Or, oh, have you seen what they have over here at the distro? And it kind of helps everybody if you all talk to each other and really try to, just point each other in each other's directions. I mean, I was sending people to all those guys all weekend. There's so much good stuff out there. So it was really cool. So thanks to my table mates as well. This person, oh boy, did they not put their name on this? I cannot remember their name. Oh, here we go. Perez R. Ramirez is a Chicago creator, and he gave me these On Earth, they called them Blue Jay books, and I haven't had a chance to fully read it, but I was pretty struck right away with some of these really cool panel layouts that he has in here, and some really nice textures. I'm not sure what the story's about yet. I haven't read it, but kind of cool. Feels kind of like 90s hardcore indie stuff to me, which I like, so I'm definitely going to have to check that out. And it looks like you can get these at Howling Pages and Quimby's and Uncharted Books, or PerezRamirezMakesComics.com. So check those out. And then this was, I might have mentioned on here, guys, that I did a cover recently for Bad Idea. Scaredy Cat says, iron sharpens iron. That's right, my man, that's right. So Bad Idea was there promoting this book that kind of just looks like Warhammer, which is I'm fine with. But I had seen some of this art online, and they printed up this little giveaway, and it's almost like on a newsprint, like a textured paper. And the art is really cool. This guy's work, it kind of reminds me of, what's his name? Chris Stevens or Travis Charest. Hyper detailed, ink washes and different kinds of hatching techniques. It's kind of a neat mix of not just hatching, because that's like, Charest would do a lot of that, but he didn't do much kind of dry brushing or that. He did do washes and then eventually did a lot of airbrushing. But this guy seems to be working mostly traditional on these. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe this is digital trickery. But these are really beautiful pages. I'm not sure what the colors are going to look like or if it's going to be colored. But there's a lot of cool energy here. The kind of stuff you don't see as much, I think, in current comics, where a lot of people don't work in quite so much time on the rendering. I mean, this guy, Nick Klein would be another exception to that rule. He puts the work in. But really cool stuff. The artist is named... I was not aware of this person. Thomas Giorello. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but you can see it there. So it had a little preview of that and some other cool stuff, and then oh, here's some colored pages. It looks pretty good. I mean, that's obviously the ship from Aliens, but it's darn well drawn. Whether it looks, but anyway, some other previews here. I don't know. It was pretty cool. I mean, Bad Idea is kind of an interesting company, and like I said, I just did a cover for them, and they've been very nice. Shout out to Sienna. I met Sienna and Dev, I think, is the other person's name, at C2E2. So Scoot Starnes is finally catching you live. Oh, well, welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here. This is kind of a weird one. It'll be, maybe not exactly like my other streams, probably more talking, but that's okay. I've been thumbnailing all day, and I just think I burned out my drawing battery. We'll see. I might do a doodle before the end. Maybe I'll do a doodle really quick. So here's my C2E2 badge. It's got a melting pizza on it. I kind of like this, but I have no idea why it's a piece of melting pizza that doesn't look like a Chicago-style pizza. And I wish I knew who did the badge design, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. All right, so when I do shows, I like kind of keep. So I've done a lot of shows, and I should probably try to count them up sometime because I've done a lot of different shows, and I've done them over a lot of number of years, and some of the shows don't even exist anymore. So I keep a lot of my badges, and I just thought it might be cool to look through some of these and see if I had any interesting thoughts on the shows or if they're still around. I honestly, guys, I keep all my tickets. I'm one of those weirdos that does that. So here we go. Wow, there is a lot here. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. Okay, so what do we got? Oh, shoot. Okay, what do we got here? This is Emerald City Comic Con 2019. Emerald City is a pretty fun show. I've done it twice or maybe 3 times. It's a 4-day show, so it's a big commitment, and it's on it's in Seattle, and so it's a little costly for me to do as a show, so I usually don't do it every year. I've had some of my absolute best shows at Emerald City and some of my absolute worst shows. A lot of that depended on where I was placed in the artist alley or in the convention center, and I had a good spot a couple times, and I had a bad spot a couple times. But that's also one of the first shows where I got to meet a lot of creators that I really liked and respected at the time. People like Simon Roy and Farrell Dalrymple, Brandon Graham, all those people were there. And we were tabling near them, which was really fun. Me and my friend Scott Kroll, who I did a Speculative Relationships, the sci-fi romance anthology with. And I saw Scott this weekend. Shout out Scott if you're out there. But it was a really fun show, and my brother lives nearby, so it's a good one. I'd recommend it, but it's 4 days, and all the days are like 9 or 10 hour days, so it's a lot. This is C2E2 2016. Here we go. We got some cake ones. I can't remember which year. Here's cake 2016. Here's cake, don't know which year, maybe 2018. What do we got here? Retcon. I forgot about Retcon. That was just a small local show that I did. Here's Alternative Press Expo 2010. This was, I think, my first or second year. Oh, hey, my buddy Mark Bikiran was with me there. This is my maybe second year doing Alternative Press Expo. This used to be like one of the when I started trying to do comics myself and self-publish, I was trying to figure out which shows to do, and everyone said, you got to do Alternative Press Expo. It's like the one. And I did it a couple of years, and I think that it kind of had declined pretty quickly after that as far as like attendance and stuff. And I know they moved to another city, and I think it's now gone. But, it was my first real show, like as an independently publishing person. And it'll always have a special place in my heart for that reason. It was very fun, though. It's where I met a lot of my good friends through comics. That's the first time I met Mike Manamivable and Grim Wilkins and Jose Moreno and Reed Saltis, and these are people that I still talk to this day, So you can make some lifelong friends at shows. C2E2 2018, Emerald City 2015. I've been doing this a long time, y'all. Scoot Starnes, all good to listen. Art time for you right now. Cool. Here we go. What is this one? Dink. This is the Denver Independent Comic Art Expo. That one was pretty fun. I have a couple friends who live in Denver, or one of them doesn't anymore, I guess. So when I heard there was a show in Denver that was indie, I thought, well, that'd be cool. My folks live in Colorado. I'll go to this show. And I had a really good time at this show. I remember a couple weird things about it. One was that the special guest was John Leguizamo, which I thought was kind of weird. He had done a comic or something, but it was really weird. And they just kept going on the loudspeaker during the convention, like, John Leguizamo is signing right now, and like trying to get everyone to go over to him. It was kind of weird. And then the other thing is that my friend Ben Passmore was there with me. And I remember we got to the show. I had driven there from Illinois. I had a Golf back then. I drove my Golf to Colorado and went to the convention center, or, where the convention was. It was like a downtown building. And Ben was there. And he was like, dude, he forgot something back at wherever he was staying. So he's like, can you drive me over there? So I drove him over there, and we had a good chat. I got to catch up in the car. He and I have had a couple big, long car trips that are memorable. Here's another cake one. I don't know which year that was. They didn't put the year on their badges. C2E2 2019. I'm going to... maybe next time I'll have these organized. Heroes Convention. This is Heroes. I've done this. This is 2023, so I think that would have been 2 years ago. I've done it 2 years, and it was one of my favorite. And here's CXC. I'll get to that in a minute. It was one of my favorite shows the first year I did it. It's a big one for commissions and original art. So if you do commissions, you really should do Heroes at some point. And it's kind of cool because the whole show is mostly artists and writers and creators, colorists, everybody, and less vendors. There are some vendors there with things like toys and stuff and comics, but it's mostly about the artists. And they do a big art auction, and you can see everyone's art hanging up. And it's kind of just like a big artist hangout, creator hangout, I should say. It's because not everyone's an artist. There are writers there. And, it's like a big creator hangout, and it'll be everybody from people like me that maybe aren't super famous, to people like, Bill Sienkiewicz and Michael Golden and, these legends, right? And so it's a really fun one for that reason. I would like to do it again someday. Maybe they will invite me someday and I can come do that show again. Let them know if you'd like me there. This is CXC. That's a Jim Rugg drawing, I believe. CXC is the Columbus Cartoon Crossroads Columbus, and it was a show that was started by Tom Spurgeon, who passed away not too long ago, who was a big-time comics journalist guy and reporter guy, and it was also started by Jeff Smith, and it's in Columbus, Ohio. And it's connected to the Billy Ireland Cartoon Art Museum, which I think I've mentioned before, is an incredible museum that is... it's got everything, but it's got manga, it's got art from the 20s, it's got anything you can think of as far as comics and cartoons are related. It's got original stuff by Calvin and Hobbes creator Bill Watterson. It's got the Winsor McCay Little Nemo stuff. It's an incredible museum. If you live anywhere near it, I highly recommend you go there. And before you go, you can request them to pull things from the back in their storage, anything from their whole catalog for you. It's a really awesome place. So CXC is good to go to for that reason. Let's see if I'm missing anything here. John W., good to see you too, man. Sweet pinup. You didn't have gray hair when we met a decade ago. We met a long time ago. That's true, man. And the hair just continues to get grayer. I've always been gray since maybe high school a little bit. And it kind of gradually got grayer. And then I had a child. And then it felt like, that scene in Evil Dead 2? When the evil's personified and Ash's hair goes white and the flower dies next to him. That was kind of what it was like when I had my kid. I feel like it really started to go. But good to see you, man. Scoot Starnes, are you going to do Heroes this year? I got approved for a booth this year. Oh, congratulations, man. That's really cool. I am not going to be there this year, unfortunately. I'm not going to make it this year to Heroes. But again, let them know that you'd like to see me there, and maybe they can get me in. Because I've had a great time both years that I did it, barring a couple few things that were not very cool. But these are all kinds of things you probably don't care about. I was just looking at this one. It was Comics, Philosophy, and Practice. That was a kind of a symposium I went to. Here we go. San Diego Comic-Con, 2004. This would probably be 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. These were the 5 years I went in a row to Comic-Con. And I think I went 1 year after this as well. And so I had a friend who was going to UCSD, and I had other friends I was working for that were getting me free passes to the show. So I could go down there, stay with my friend, and go to the show for free. And so it was like I lived in LA at the time during three of these. And so it was just like a few hours for me to drive down there. So I went like a lot back then. And even back then, it was completely insane. And so I can't imagine what it's like now. I would like to get back to it again someday. But the last time I went was '08 or '09. When I was there, I did a lot of portfolio reviews, stood in some lines, got some advice. I met a lot of creators, spent a lot of time waiting for things, panels in rooms and stuff. I saw so many Adult Swim panels at this in the heyday. This was like the Aqua Teen days. And every year they would give out like swag. And so I have like a deck of playing cards that's all Aqua Teen themed. I have Moon and Night socks. I have this Adult Swim watch. There's all kinds of stuff that I got from those. They were really cool. TCAF, the Toronto Comic Arts Festival. I've only done this one once, but it is really cool. It is a show in Toronto, obviously, and it takes place at a library. And the thing that blew my mind about this show is it was the first time I had done an indie comics show, because I'd done mainstream shows like C2E2, but then indie comics shows like TCAF, Cake, and all those. And this was the first indie comic show I had done where before the show started, people were lined up outside to get in, and they ran to tables of the people they wanted to see. I mean, not even exaggerating. Like, there was a lot of really hot kind of web comics coming out in print at that time, and it was still a pretty big boom on the original Kickstarter boom. And so there was creators I'd never heard of that had lines at their tables the whole day. And it's a really well curated show. All the artists there are really amazing. Every year I look at the list and it's really incredible. And I did a panel at this show, and this would have been like 2012 maybe, called History Nonfiction Comics. And so this was a panel I did with Bridget Alverson, Nick Abadsis, who did the cigar that fell in love with the pipe, and also he did that Leica one, I believe. Meigs Fitzgerald, which did a photo booth photo booth biography. Nate Powell, March, of course. Nate Powell rules. Diana Tamblyn, Nick Bertozzi, who did the Lewis and Clark comic, and me. It's like all these really incredible people, and then me. It's like, who's this guy? But it was a really great panel. We had a lot of fun. Here's Alternative Press Expo 2009, 2010, which is I think what was in the front. Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo 2010. This was the first year of C2E2, and I went. I had a professional badge, and so I don't know. I think I might have even used my job at the school to get me in and get a table. I remember being in the webcomics pavilion, or that might have been the next year. Here's 2011. Stumptown, rest in peace. Stumptown was a show in Portland. Here's a Brandon Graham tag for that. It was a show in Portland that I had a lot of friends in Portland that I met through comics, and they all lived in Portland, all these Portland people, and they all did this show every year. And there was another guy named Neil Berdow here in Chicago that was going to the show, and he knew those guys, and he was looking for someone to split a table with. And those guys were like, hey, we know another guy in Chicago. Why don't you split with him? So I kind of met a lot of those people during that time, that were Portland. The Portland scene was really big back then. And there still is a lot of comic artists in Portland, but back then it was like everybody. And I was there with my comic Gary, and that was a really fun show. I met my girlfriend at the time, soon to be wife. She came out and helped me at this show, which was cool. I don't know what show this is right here. That might be Space. That's the one that takes place also in Columbus. I won't talk much about that. Ape 2011, back at Ape. C2E2 2015. Stumptown again. This must have been the next year. It probably would have been the year 2012, maybe 2013. This is the first time I did Emerald City Comic Con. My buddy Josh Shalek let me share his table with him. Josh is great. He does a comic called Welcome to Falling Rock. C2E2 2014, Cake again. C2E2 2012, Cake. Oh, here's Space. And then SPX. This is the one time I went to SPX and I split a table with like 3 other people. Not even a table, like a half table. And I didn't sell a blessed thing. I sure had a fun time, but I didn't sell but maybe 3 comics the whole weekend. I had a great time, though, hanging out with people, and that's where they do the Ignatz Awards. And so that one is a really fun one to go to because it's kind of like an indie comics hangout in the same way the Heroes Con is kind of like a mainstream comic artists hangout. So it's a fun one, but it's lotteried, and I never seem to get in. So maybe someday I'll do it again. Let's see. Eric Renard. Oh wait, was your first Comic-Con? I don't think you. I was following you though. I think Victus was your first book I followed. Okay, Eric. Okay, yeah. So before Victus, I did a comic called Gary, which is about the Green River Killer, and it's called Gary, and it was a cool book, I guess. You know, I did it. It was how long did it end up being? 140 pages or something like that. And I did it in 3 volumes, and it tells the story of this serial killer's life kind of through a strange lens. And people have been asking me to reprint it. I'm debating it. It's very old work though, so it's completely different from the kind of stuff that you people see me do now. But I like to shift gears a lot, and it represents a different part of my career. So maybe someday I will. I think I have a digital version of it up for sale on my website if you want to go check it out. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, right? Okay, I don't know if there's anything else comic related in here. Oh, there is. Stan Lee's Kamikaze. So, there used to be this show in LA that was originally called Stan Lee's Kamikaze, or it was originally called Kamikaze. And then I got into that show, and I had friends in LA because I used to live there. So I was like, I'll go to LA. I'll go to this show. And as soon as I get there, they announced that it's actually going to be called Stan Lee's Kamikaze now because that whole Stan Lee company bought it. And I think now it's just LA Comic-Con or something. Like, it's not that anymore. But let me tell you, man, this show was, it was, I mean, I'm sorry, but it was abysmal. I mean, I literally, all the people, I was in a center square kind of between aisles. And so there was like 4 tables on every side, you know. And I was the only one that showed up in the whole island. And people just were walking by me, and other booths too, just totally empty. The only thing that was cool is I met some celebrities there. They like came to my table and bought stuff. The guy who played Badger on Breaking Bad, he bought some of my comics at that show. So anyway, yeah. So Kamikaze, wouldn't recommend it, but I can't because it's gone. It's gone. Sleep, High on Fire. These are just concert tickets. You probably want to see it. Oh, well, this is not comic related, but when I went to Italy for my honeymoon, I went to almost every possible museum I could. And if you ever go to Italy, go to not just Rome, but go to Florence. Florence has all the Michelangelo stuff, and that's where you want to be. Artist Alley, I don't know what that one is. Oh, that's Heroes Con Artist Alley. I know I kept that. Cool. So, oh wait, we got more back here. Look at this. Look at this, guys. You think that was all the badges I had? Okay, C2E2 2024. Heroes Con 2024. C2E2 2020, C2E2 2021, C2E2 2022. See, doesn't it seem weird that I'm not getting accepted every year, but I'm at the show every year? It's obviously like I'm supposed to be there. It's kind of weird, right? C2E2 2023. Cake. Last year and the year before, I was an organizer at Cake. And so I didn't really get to table as much. This year, I'm hoping I can table a little bit more. And I've done tons of panels for Cake. There's panels I did at some of these other shows too. I just didn't keep a record of them. Silly me. Silly me. So that's some convention talk. I mean, I hope that's helpful perspective for anybody that does them. You know, they change all the time. It's always nice to go with people you know, but if you don't know anybody, you know, make friends with the people around you, or at least talk to them. You know, you don't have to be their friend, but you know, it helps everybody if we're all kind of on the same team. You're not fighting each other for the sales, right? You know, the right people will find the books if we help them. Okay, so again, ERIS is on Kickstarter right now, and it is at 72% of its goal, and we still have about 20 days, but any help you guys can offer to spread the word would be great. But I wanted to take a look at this Minerva Fox piece again, just without the board on there. So Minerva Fox, if you don't follow her, she does live streams as well, and she is on all the social medias, I think as Blue Troller or Minerva Fox Art, something like that. But it's MINERVAFOX. And Minerva is extremely impressive in that she does so much stuff. She streams and she does comics, and she's also part of an all Asian women publishing group. Really just incredible stuff. And and has a great sense of just as like her illustration style is very concise and very nice, and she makes great color choices. You know, I like that she gives them this green hue. In the book, they're mostly blue, but what that means for a lot of the scenes where I have them is that they feel very monochrome, and so by adding this warm yellow, it really helps the whole piece pop. So this is a pinup that she did for us, and I'm forever grateful, Minerva, for doing this. This is really nice. I love the way she rendered these like tubes here. That's really cool. And this is all traditional. So like this is ink and it looks like gouache, you know. I really, when I see stuff like this, it makes me wanna get back into trying to paint stuff. But then I think about doing it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Tell you what, before I go, yes, Scoot, that is a great piece. Slide 2025 in there. Yes, John. Yes. Before I go, why don't we look at... you know what? Let's look at this drawing I did of the Archon Circle right here. This is from ERIS 3, and this would be a spoiler page if you could read what the words said, but you can't really. So, but this is... the Archon Circle is sort of a group of extremely powerful, maybe semi-immortal people that run Earth and Earth's empire. And they're the original and or ancestors of dictator, autocrat, business type folks. You know the type. And they live in this secure base in the Andes Mountains. And I wanted them to feel like there's a lot of things I'm trying to evoke when I draw something like the Archon Circle. And I don't want to explain everything to everybody all the time, but when I decide to put, say, these kind of veiny shapes on it, or you know, connecting tubes, and I choose, you know, things like that, you know, I am trying to evoke certain things, right? And those things might not even be one specific thing. It could be two totally opposite things, right? But it's fun when you're designing a character or a scene to not just think about the utility of it, right? The utility of it is these guys have to be able to talk to the other character, and so they have to be somewhat visible, but they won't need to be mysterious, so maybe they could be within something, and that's really the only utility, right? So beyond that, you can make, you know, I try to make decisions that are going to enhance the overall impression that you get, and whether that be on a subconscious level or on a very real level of like, these are rocks and this looks like roots, or, you know, these are pipes, right? But on a subconscious level, you know, how can you evoke other things? And so I have all these drippy things and these like cobwebby things, and they're not even necessarily defined what they are exactly. They're just kind of shapes that evoke those things. I'm really happy with how this page turned out. That's maybe why I wanted to pull it out. And I think, you know, imagine it in color. You know, Minerva's colors are a little probably better than what I do, but I think that what I ended up with in the final book is pretty cool. Let's see. Maybe I can show you one more like non-spoilery thing. Oh, how about this? I'll tell you the story of the cover of ERIS number 3, or ERIS the collection. Oh, I put it in the. Let me go grab it real quick. It's in my portfolio. So this is half of it right here. All right. So a lot of times I try to do my. If I'm going to do a cover or something, I try to do it all on one piece of paper as much as I can, because I like the idea that if someone was going to get the cover, they would get, you know, the whole thing, right? The complete thing. But on this one, I really wanted to try a couple things, and it would be way easier to try those things, I decided, if I did the background space and a big, what ended up being the big pink sphere from the cover. If I did them on the paper all together, it would just make my life a little more difficult than it needed to be, and I wouldn't be able to try these things that I was trying to go for. So one of the things I wanted to try was I wanted to use screen tone on it. but out of fear that maybe that would cause some issues when I was coloring and when I was trying to decide how light and dark the colors needed to be for the cover, what I did was I drew the whole thing and then I scanned it without the screen tones, and then I put the screen tones on and I scanned it. So then it kind of had the best of both worlds, right? And it ended up being a good idea because when I did finally put the colors down on it, the screen tones just weren't really working anymore. They were sort of muddying up everything and it wasn't helping. And so I ended up not using the version with the screen tones, but they're already on the final art, and so the final art is different from the cover, even though the shapes of the shadows are the same. But what's cool is like this is going to keep the screen tones on it, even though the other version doesn't. And so then I just composited them on top of here, and then that allowed me also, the other thing I wanted to be able to do was have the ability to change the scale. Because when I started playing around with the design and where I wanted the logo, I didn't want to feel like, oh, if the logo was this much bigger or that much smaller, maybe it would work, but they're too big. So I did it for design reasons. It's all production art, is what my friend Riley always says. But I still, if I sell it, I'll probably sell it as like a set. You know, you can buy both pieces. I could probably even, you know, find a way to, well, I don't know. I'd probably just sell it as two pieces or with one piece. But anyway, that's kind of the story behind that. And I did maybe 6 or 7 variations of what I thought the cover would look like. Let me just check in the chat. The action in the lines on that page is great. So much movement, what seems to be a static shot. Thanks, Scoot. Thanks for noticing that. I wanted that feeling. Eric Renard says very cool. Yeah, so anyway, I did maybe 6 or 7, probably more than that, different ideas for the cover, and some of them were a single figure, some of them were a collage, and I finally got this one. And the hard thing with a design like this is like in a first pass of a design, it might not seem like it works because it really comes down to every little decision you make about where the characters overlap and how the shape they make overall and how they can read as one thing but as separate things. So it took a lot of work to figure it out once I decided to go this route. But I wouldn't have decided on this or gotten there without the help of like a lot of friends, you know? I think, again, just to demystify some of the artistic process, you're not always creating in a void. You never are, really. And it's not always good to not just kind of take other people's, you know, not always advice, but just hear their opinions. And then that helps you to figure out what you're trying to do. It's not like you do exactly what someone tells you to do when you get a critique. And it's not like you should have feelings about the critique, right? Just take whatever they're saying, good or bad, and just kind of hear it and process it and think, well, okay, I know what I'm trying to achieve. Is any of that helpful for me? And so that's what I try to do. But what I was trying to say is that I took all these designs as I was working on them to a group of my friends that have a chat group, and there are a bunch of other artists. And they were so helpful in helping me pare down to what was interesting and what wasn't, right? So one of the good comments I got from Ryan Stegman actually was, you know, one of the designs I felt pretty good about it, but he said, you know, it's a nice drawing, I think he said, but it doesn't make me want to buy the book. And I was like, that's good for me to hear, because sometimes I might like a drawing and think, well, it's a nice drawing, so this is good enough, but you know, at the end of the day, I want people to buy it, right? So it's also got to bring forth those feelings of getting your wallet out. So when we got to this one, everyone kind of agreed that this looked good, and I'm grateful to all my buddies for helping with that. And I bugged them with it for like a week. I was sending like 6 things a day, just like, what about this? What about this? And it really helped. And I think the result was pretty good. Pretty happy with it. So again, you can go back it right now on Kickstarter. We're getting closer to our goal. I hope you'll check it out. Another reminder, I don't know if you guys heard this or saw this or knew this, but I'm going to be on Danny Warren Johnson's live stream this Friday with D-Dubs, so I hope you will come join us over there. We're going to do like a deep dive into the ERIS stuff. We're going to look through the books and talk about them and just hang out, answer any questions, and it should always be a fun time, you know, hanging out with Dan. So if you're not already subscribed to him, go over there, Danny Warren Johnson, Friday with D-Dubs, and I should be hopefully seeing some of you guys that day. If not, I will be back on here. If not next Tuesday, then hopefully the following Tuesday, and hopefully it will be with some great news that the Kickstarter is almost funded. And everyone who's backed it so far, thank you so much. I think I'm going to call it a night, everybody, But thanks again to everyone who came to the stream and everybody who stopped by at C2E2. I hope this was an enjoyable look into the convention life. Have a good night, everybody.